Welcome to Diasporaa, the show where we share the remarkable experiences of immigrants from the Indian subcontinent. I'm your host, Aditya Mehta. Each week, we sit down with individuals who have come over and explore their challenges, their triumphs, their stories. We delve into their unique perspectives on adapting to a new culture while staying connected to their roots. Today, we are joined by Krati Agrawal, a senior executive in the supply chain industry. Originally from a small town called Guna in the state of Madhya Pradesh, she went to school in Goa, which is a beautiful beach state in Western India. She worked in Pune and Bangalore before moving to the US in 2015 for her master's degree at Michigan. Everybody knows I'm a Texas Longhorn. She joined Amazon out of school and worked there until earlier this year in various roles in places like Phoenix and New Jersey, and is now in Seattle with her husband Vivek. We will talk about all these places later in the show. Very interesting thing about Krati is that she was nominated to be part of marquee Who's Who list for women leaders in technology in the US. We'll talk about that as well. And I know Krati, as we were part of the same org at Amazon in the last mile team. Since then, she's moved on to TikTok, and I've obviously moved on to entrepreneurship. So, anyways, lots to unpack there. Let's dive into this week's conversation. Krati, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adi.
So, if Guna was an American city, what would it be?
So Guna is a very small town, and up until probably like 15 years ago, there was not even a college
Okay.
in Guna, but the community is very close knit. So if I have to compare it to any US small town city, would probably be like something Waco, Texas.
Waco, Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, more context for our listeners. When she says small town, that's still 190,000 people. I looked that up, which is not small by
Yes.
American standards, but we have suburbs in Bombay that have 1 million
Yes.
people, right? I think you're also my first guest from Madhya Pradesh. And Madhya Pradesh has two cities, Indore and Bhopal, which are the main cities. And they have a bit of a rivalry, just like Bombay and Delhi tend to have a rivalry. And I find that it's North Indian, but it's not North Indian.
Yes.
Like I don't see the aggression of North India in MP. I think people in MP are much nicer and friendlier, but they speak Hindi, and it's
Yes.
predominantly a Hindi-speaking part of the country. Madhya Pradesh used to be the largest state in the country before it was split into Chhattisgarh, and the name literally means Central India. So it's smack in the center of the country. So your last name, I've seen at least like keeping the numerology aside, I've seen 4 or 5 different spellings.
Yes.
And I think along with Chaudhary, it's one of those names which you can really spell any way you want.
Yep.
Do you know why that is the case, or is it just random? Or is there more Agrawal means this and Agarwal means something else?
There is some differences. So it also depends on which part of the country you are from. So Agrawal, which is AGRA, which is my last name, usually people whose native backgrounds and roots are from Rajasthan, they spell it as AGRA.
Okay.
People
Interesting.
with more rooted in the Bundelkhand region, which
Yeah.
is like the, again,
Part of
plus of MP.
like near Jhansi.
Correct,
Yeah.
exactly. Between MP and UP, they spell it as AGAR.
Yeah.
And that was actually my mom's maiden name.
Interesting.
And a lot of the Punjabis who have been in UP or Delhi side and all, they usually spell it as AGG.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with the double G.
Okay.
So
Very interesting.
that's the difference, at least I have noticed. And when
Yeah.
I asked my parents and
Yeah.
my grandparents, so they told me.
Yeah.
that.
And I think a lot of these things, you look at the accent in which it is spoken and then literally translate that to English. And sometimes that's where the spelling also
Yes.
might differ. Cool. So, what were early days like? I guess that in Bombay are in our little bubble. We don't know what happens in the rest of India. So, what was it like growing up in small town India
Yeah.
in, I guess, like the 90s to 2000s?
Yeah, I think it was, I grew up in a joint family. So my world was just the four walls of our house with me, my parents, grandparents,
Yeah.
uncles, and their kids. So we were at one point 11 cousins living together.
Okay.
My school was right across the street from my home. The school was okay, but going into the school and coming out after was kind of an event because everybody would just gather around outside our house. It
Yeah.
would be the gathering place,
Yeah.
and everybody would know each other.
Yeah.
So it was even as we were growing up in our teen years, sometimes we did not like it. because even if we are hanging out with our friends anywhere, any part of the city, people knew. They would tell my dad about it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, what am I supposed
Oh,
to
we
do?
saw her with a boy. Like,
So, but because of growing up in Guna, I also learned about the value of the support system.
yeah,
That was definitely there. No matter where I would be, if I needed any help, there would be some uncle or some aunt who would be
yeah.
ready to support. So that was really good growing up. I was in Guna until I finished my high school. So leaving Guna and then going to Kota for my drop year studies, that was a culture shock. Like that was a
Yeah.
shock for me.
Yeah. Okay, so tell our guests what a drop year studies is.
Yes. So in India, the colleges which are the prestigious engineering colleges called IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, a lot of kids aspire to get into those, and you get two chances: one after your or during your 12th standard,
Mhm.
and then one afterwards to give the exams to be selected for these IITs.
Yeah.
And then after the 12th year, when you're doing nothing but just studying for this exam, is usually called the drop year.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they don't sign up for the next grade, and they just full time study for the end. It's like taking a year off to do the GMAT.
Yes, it's like you're doing nothing but just studying for SATs.
And this is not an entrance test for multiple universities. It's only for the IITs.
Yes.
Right, so that's how important it is to
Mhm.
get into that one school. And for our guests, the Kota is like a center of these prep academies,
Yeah.
and there are hundreds and hundreds of different
Yes.
institutes. And I think the most selective ones, they choose the students, right? Just like the
Yes,
college
there is
students.
entrance exams for these coaching classes
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was in commerce. I never took engineering or any kind of science, so I never had to go through this grind. But I've seen my cousin study for the CA exams, the accounting. The pressure is real. Like,
It is. And folks who may be interested in learning more about this, so there is actually a TV series called Kota Factory on Netflix,
yeah,
which you
yeah,
can watch, and it will actually give you
yeah,
pretty accurate insights into what's the life of
yeah.
Kota students.
I will include a link in the show notes. Is it the one that's shot in black and white? No.
Part of it,
Okay,
yes.
got it. And I'm guessing you did not get into IIT because there's no IIT in Goa where you studied. So I'm deducing that.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's not a bad thing. The acceptance rate is so
low.
low.
I did get into the IIT Dhanbad,
Okay.
which is more known for its coal mining courses, and I
Sure.
didn't want to go there.
Yeah. Three or 4 weeks ago, my guest she was from a town called Giridih in Jharkhand,
Yeah,
which is very close to
very close
Dhanbad,
to
and her
Dhanbad.
family's in manufacturing there in mica manufacturing. Now she runs a manufacturing AI startup
Oh
here.
wow,
Yeah. So we just spoke about Dhanbad just a few weeks ago on the show.
yes.
Yeah. So those courses didn't make sense for
No.
you. So where did you end up going in Goa?
In Birla Institute of Technology.
Okay. Oh, it's like
yes,
bits. Yeah.
Bits Goa.
Called bits.
Yes.
I think by the time we're done with the show, my listeners are gonna know all the big major colleges of India because I've had someone from pretty much everywhere. I've had XLRI represented.
Yes.
So you know Somnil.
Yes.
He had come. He's from XLRI. So VJT has been represented.
Yep.
DJ Sangui has been represented. So tell our listeners about Goa. We haven't talked about it on the show yet, and I feel it's a very unique place in India given its history.
Yes.
So what was it like living in Goa? And I'll fill in more information about Goa once you do.
Yep. Just to paint a picture, Goa is considered like Miami equivalent. When I got selected for that school, its primary branch is in Pilani.
Yeah.
Which is
Bits Pilani,
Bits
yeah.
Pilani. But I didn't get into it. I got into Goa. And a lot of people came to my dad and they were telling him, why are you sending your daughter to Goa? Because the school is not a party school,
Right.
but the whole Goa is just a party scene.
Yeah.
But the BITS community and the BITS school in general is very confined. We were not allowed to stay off campus.
Yeah.
So all 4 years we had a dorm allocated to us.
Right.
And the only probably a unique part of BITS experience, especially for people, when I have spoken to my friends, they would always share a room in the hostels. In BITS, there was no concept of sharing the rooms, which at least eased me into living into the hostel life.
Yeah.
But Goa, and up until third year of my college, I actually did not explore Goa much. But once I got to explore, The South Goa and the North Goa is very
Yeah,
very
very
different.
different.
If people are more interested in forts, like the
The
Fort
Guada.
Aquadia,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So there are a lot of forts in Goa, but if you do want to experience the actual party culture and the beach
Yeah.
culture, that's the South Goa.
Right.
The seafood scene is amazing.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, while I was in India, I was a pure vegetarian, so I
Sure.
didn't get to
Same.
experience it.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back and definitely experience the seafood
Yeah.
of Goa. The Bitsin community in general, I'm fortunate to be part of that community. Very strong alumni base. So we had a good support system. Again, coming from Guna, I needed that and I got that within
Sure.
within the school itself.
So, to fill in some more details, Goa used to be a Portuguese colony.
Correct.
And it had a very strong Portuguese culture, tradition, language exists even today, though it probably is dying away
Yes.
with the older generation. And you'll find people who look like you and me, but their last name is De Costa
Yes.
or Gonzalez, or so they are Portuguese last names. They've been Christian for hundreds of years, and that whole west coast of India has a lot of Portuguese influence. So there are parts of Bombay which are still Portuguese, and Bombay used to be a Portuguese colony until it was given as dowry in a
And
marriage.
same as Goa. It
Yeah.
was a colony there.
I visited Goa. I've been going since I would say 2000, and I've steadily seen it become more and more Indian. That whole identity is going away, which I think is a shame because
Yes.
I'm also seeing a lot of Russian influence in Goa these days.
I've not been to Goa recently.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because for Bombay, it's a weekend trip, right?
Yes.
People from Bombay, either if you have money, you go to Dubai, and if you don't, you go to Goa, right? And if you don't have any money, you go to like Alibag, which is close to Bombay. So I do see more Russian influence. We would always go as group of guys and always go to North Goa, so Kalangut Beach, all
Yes.
those areas.
Yep.
Then the first time I went with my wife, I was like, why is everybody staring at us? And she's like, welcome to my world. Like, that's how it is for women in India. Like, you're
Yes.
always stared at. And because I went with guys, I never noticed that
Noticed
this
that.
was happening. So then we started, like, we would still go to Goa, but we would go to like one of the 5-star hotels in
Mhm.
South Goa and just stay there
Yes.
and not venture out a lot. But, and that's what my wife noticed here, that people don't stare at you
Yeah.
the way they do in
Yes.
India. With Goa, I do feel like it's become a bit saturated as well these days. But we had branches in Goa, my family
Mhm.
business, for stockbroking. So I got to go to all like the place where the Goans live.
Yes.
And that had a very different vibe to it. You go
Yes.
to Mapsa and Ponda and all those places. It was very, very different
Yeah.
than the
And
tourist.
even if you look at the houses, I've never seen more colorful houses.
Yeah.
Than
Yeah.
in Goa. In India, the houses are very monochromatic colors sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in Goa,
Very
it's
colorful.
very colorful.
Yeah, that's interesting. So next time you go to Goa, maybe you'll party a little bit more.
Probably. The funny part was when my husband went to Goa for the first time, he went with his family and he asked me, hey, so where we all should visit? And I gave him a list of beaches and clubs and all they can all go to, but
Yeah.
also restaurants
Yeah.
because his family is a foodie. However,
Was burritos on the list?
yes, yes, 100%. And when he came back and I asked him, where did you all go? And they probably visited every church and every temple in Goa. And I'm like, that's a very different
vibe.
experience
Yeah.
of anybody
Yeah.
saying what
Yeah,
they
my father-in-law does that.
Yeah.
So wherever we go, he'll see a temple, he'll like just go visit by
Yes.
default.
Yeah.
It's either the outlet mall or the temple. Like that's the whole scene. Cool. So learned something new about Goa. After that, you worked in Pune and Bangalore, and I always call Pune as Bombay's Vancouver,
Mm.
like because it's Seattle, Vancouver type of
Yes.
scene where it's
Yes.
like one city is smaller, probably better quality of life, thinks it's better than the big city. The big city thinks it's better than the
Yes.
small city.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not as cosmopolitan as Bombay is.
Yeah.
But was Marathi a problem or being an outsider a problem? Because a lot of the Maharashtrian cities tend to have that. I mean, Bangalore's been having that off
Yes.
late.
Yeah.
So was that a problem in Bangalore in general and in Pune specifically?
Yeah. So Bangalore, I was there for 6 months, especially as part of my internship in my last semester. Because we were just interns and we all were a group of around 15 people together, we did not experience it as much because our world was just those 15, 20 people
Sure.
who we knew each other. But I did experience sometimes when I would try to get a taxi or an auto rickshaw,
Yeah.
and they would start immediately talking in Kannada with me. And as soon as I would tell them I don't know it, the prices would go up.
But-
And in Pune as well, that same situation happened, more actually in the office environment where the entire meeting would end up happening
In
in
Marathi. Yeah.
And then I had to
Even though
get
this is like a corporate setup, it's
Yes.
not like a local mom and pop
no,
business.
no,
And there's still everyone's talking in
in
Marathi.
Marathi. Yeah. And luckily, in our team, we had one more individual who was from Patna and did not speak Marathi. So the two of us would then communicate with each other and try to understand what is going on.
Right.
And at least our manager was nice enough that he would recap everything to
Sure.
us. Obviously, he was not able to interject during the meeting because
Yeah.
his bosses and his managers were all speaking and the discussion wasn't
Yeah.
a flow. But he would at least recap everything
Yeah.
to us. And we were the small fish in the pond at that time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the more globalized the place becomes and for longer, people become more sensitive to it.
Yes.
So when I was in the London Business School, in the UK, it was very rude for two people to talk in a different language in a group. Everyone didn't speak it. But when I went to Dubai, the Arabs especially would do it all the time.
Yeah.
And they would not be apologetic about it. But in the UK, they would say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you don't speak whatever
Yes,
language,
yes.
and then go into that. And the problem is with Indians, like I talked about this with Karthik on one of the episodes. Our common language is English because I don't speak Telugu and he doesn't speak Gujarati.
Yeah.
And that's lost on a lot of people. They think that all Indians speak the one language. Yeah, that's interesting. So let's pause here for now and go into a few short messages. When we come back, let's focus on how you decided to move to this part of the world and how that journey was and how those early days were. So we'll be right back in no time. Welcome back to Diasporaa on KKNW, where we share interesting stories of first-generation immigrants from the Indian subcontinent. We're talking to Krati Agrawal, a supply chain senior leader and ex-Amazonian based in Seattle. Before we get back to talking to Krati, I want to take a moment to remind you to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You'll find all our episodes in video form on our channel. So, what made you decide to move to this part of the world?
So when actually I was working with Tata Motors, I had no thought of leaving the country. I actually was preparing for UPSC exams to
And-
to become like
And please explain what the UPSC exams are.
it's I don't remember the full form. In the civil
yeah,
services exams.
So you
to-
become like a bureaucrat, basically.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. You can either and then go the routes of being diplomats and all of that.
Yes.
So I was preparing for those exams.
And also very competitive.
Very,
like,
very
like the
competitive.
IIT exam.
Yes. And as I was preparing for it, for some reason, my dad started getting more and more nervous for many reasons, especially how the political environment in India is.
What
And
year is this?
This was the 2013, 2014
Okay.
is when I was
So
preparing.
it was like when the elections were coming up
Exactly.
and
Yes.
Congress had been around for 2 terms.
Yep.
And there was a lot of corruption charges that come out.
Yes. Yeah. And so he started getting nervous over the fact that if you get into the bureaucratic
Yeah.
journey, then you are going to probably become part of this mess.
This mess.
Yeah. And knowing myself, I also knew that I will not enjoy it. Although I have, and I'm still a fanatic of learning about history or whether it is Indian, world, American history and all of that.
Yeah.
So studying for UPSC kept me interested. But my then boyfriend, now my husband, Vivek, was preparing for GRE and he started showing me the opportunities in US. So I started thinking about it. And then I have always been fascinated with food. I watched every MasterChef and Top Chef episode while I was in Goa. So part of me started thinking that if I get an opportunity to go outside, I'll probably explore America and American food and American culture. And that was probably the starting point where I thought, okay, let me prepare for GRE.
Yeah. To take a step back with the Indian bureaucracy, there's a popular book/TV show called Ji Mantri Ji, which is based on the British Yes Minister.
Yes.
I think Farooq Sheikh was
Yes.
the actor. I can't find those books anywhere, but for anyone interested in the intricacies of how Indian bureaucracy functions in a lighter tone,
Yeah.
that's an excellent book to read. It's fiction.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll include a link to that in the show notes. The US thing, we would watch Eat Street every
Mhm.
night after dinner, my
Okay.
wife and I, when we were living
Okay.
in Bombay. And I was vegetarian at the time. And my wife is like, why are you salivating looking at these people doing barbecue? I'm like, imagining it's paneer
Yes.
or like potato, but it still looks delicious,
Yes.
right? If you desensitize yourself that this is supposed to be sacred in our country.
Yeah.
And we actually did a food truck road trip
Oh,
in
wow.
2014 from LA to Seattle.
Oh, wow.
And we had identified food trucks all along the way that we wanted to go to.
You should
And
recommend some Seattle food trucks.
there's not too many. No. Yeah.
That is
so
why I need some
this,
advice.
yeah, I mean, obviously Portland was the high point
Yeah.
of that trip, but we had some good ones in LA as well. 2014, like you didn't have the kind of online like information about this place has vegetarian options that you do in the Google Maps
Correct.
today. So,
Yes.
okay, so food brought you to the
Yes.
US in a way.
Yes.
Did you go through one of those academic counselors to figure out where you wanted to study, or how was the research process?
So, luckily, I had enough friends who were also preparing for GRE, and they gave me the guidance in school selection, especially for
Yeah.
like which schools I should apply for.
Yeah.
I didn't wanted to do the mechanical engineering masters because yes, I studied it as my bachelor's, but I
Yeah.
wanted to just expand my horizon
Sure.
a little bit more. So just using my friends as the resources.
So you didn't do a master's, you did an MBA there.
Masters
Oh, you did a master, but what
In-
was it in?
industrial and operations engineering.
Okay.
Yes.
And is that where Amazon recruited you from college?
Yes.
Was it the
Yes.
Pathways program
Yes.
that you were a part of?
Yes.
Okay, tell our listeners a bit about the Pathways program.
So Pathways program is an accelerated leadership development program in Amazon. Usually the criteria of being selected in Pathways is you should have either an MBA or a master's. The batch when I was selected that was I think the second batch when they opened up to masters. Previously it was only always MBAs.
Okay.
Which would come up with that, okay, with MBA you need to have at least 4 to 5 years of experience work, and then you start off as an area manager doing the one holiday season where you get to understand the ground level operations,
As it is called peak at Amazon.
ground level operations of how an FC operates,
Yeah.
how to interact with your associates,
FC
meaning
being fulfillment
fulfillment
center.
centers.
Yeah.
Yes,
These are the big ones with the 3,000 employees.
correct.
Where all the stuff is kept.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. And then you constantly get promoted. The goal as part of the Pathways program is to give you enough opportunities to work cross-functionally so that in 3 to 5 years, you get promoted to a director level in Amazon, ready to take any new opportunity or a challenge which Amazon has. Usually, Pathways are the ones who are looked up to take over any big problem which Amazon wants to solve. So they recruit those kind of people.
Do you know how many people would be coming in any given year in this program?
I think depending on the year, it could anywhere be between 80 to 100.
So that's not a lot for the size of the
Yes.
company.
Yeah.
And I think our friend Viral is also from the Pathways.
Yes.
Would you say there was more pressure because you're in the program? Then, I mean, Amazon is high pressure regardless,
Yes.
but
Yep.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The other area managers who have joined Amazon as the regular route,
Yeah.
but you are given an opportunity or more opportunities rather, more critical projects because you come up with the tag of Pathways. You not only have to combat the expectations of your leaders, but also your peers who think that, okay, you have just been in this company for a year, and why are you now my boss?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting. With the Pathways program, is only on the operation side. These are not going to like the software, the tech side of things.
No, actually, Amazon has different Pathways programs.
Got it.
So this one is Pathways Leadership Program in operations. They have in finance.
Okay.
They have in marketing, and I think
Interesting.
in human resources as well.
Yeah.
So they have 4 or 5 streams where they do this
Yeah.
accelerated program.
Okay. Well, I'm finding out about 5 years too late. So, and is it with Amazon that you lived in Phoenix and then New Jersey
Yes.
and all these places?
Yes.
So one question I had for you is, Americans say that, and it is a very big country, and people in different parts of the country there's huge regional differences
Yes.
between the Midwest and the South and the Northwest. I always find that to be like a bit overstating it because in India, the differences are
Massive.
massive in terms of the food, the language, the culture.
Yes.
And there's very few things that are consistent across India,
Correct.
right? Like maybe a love for cricket.
Yes.
But our roads are not standardized the way they are here. So you really are going to a different country
Yes.
when you travel within India. Did you find these regional differences to be very pronounced or not really? Like, I want to see if I'm the crazy one here.
No, honestly. Moving from Michigan to Phoenix, the primary difference which I experienced was the weather.
Sure.
Otherwise, it was very easy for me to adjust in.
Yeah.
The rules were same, the traffic rules, everything was same.
Yeah.
Yes, Michigan people are a little bit more friendlier
Sure.
compared to
Yeah. Midwest is known to
yes,
be.
yeah. But otherwise, I didn't feel a lot of difference.
And what about New Jersey then? Was it more distinctive than Arizona is?
In terms of the probably New Jersey and in general the East Coast has a little bit more of the American history,
Yes.
more pronounced.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of one of the documentaries which is called The Men Who Built America.
Okay.
So whatever I saw in that documentary of like New York and Pittsburgh
Yeah.
and like the East Coast, I could see that in front of me, but which I did not in Arizona. So I think that was the only difference, but how people interacted in East Coast, especially New Jersey, people are more rash drivers than, than Arizona.
Yeah.
But
I also think this part of the country, like where we are, has probably 200 years of history.
yes.
Whereas the East Coast has more history. So you'll also find more people who have been there for more generations and have roots
Correct.
there. Whereas I think Phoenix, especially, it's very
New.
recently grown.
Yes.
So you'll find a lot of transient population
Correct.
like you do here.
Yes.
And many Indian tech workers here, when I meet them, they've been here for 15 years, but they still think of themselves as transient because of their visa.
Yes.
And all their friends are in the same boat. They don't have what you would call mainstream American people as friends.
Yeah.
So they live in that little bubble.
Yes.
And we can go into that a little bit later in the show. But okay, so that was interesting. So regional differences, I do find a lot of American cities, more than the states, have like certain character traits.
Yes.
Like Seattle has a strong character, or Austin, or Nashville, or
Yes.
Miami.
Yeah.
But then there's like a lot of places which I find are like super generic. And like Phoenix comes across as
Yes.
that for me,
Mhm.
right? Like it's big box, the gas station, the Subway sandwich, like the highway,
Yes.
the grid. And obviously it's from a time where everything is planned versus like in New Jersey, you'll have all these random old towns and like how the old towns in India are.
India.
The
correct.
streets are not laid out in a grid and whatnot.
But the
Okay.
food on the East Coast is much better.
Yeah. I mean, my first stint was in Austin and it kind of spoiled Mexican food for me because now everywhere I go in the US, except for California, I guess, the food doesn't match up.
Yeah.
And so affordable. Like
Yes.
even the Midwest and here, it's like, it's really affordable. Seattle is ridiculously expensive for
Yeah.
food.
And especially when we moved, me and my husband. So my husband lived in California and he thought California has the best Indian food scene in US. But when he moved with me
Oh,
to
no.
New Jersey,
New York, DC, New Jersey,
yeah.
the food is amazing.
yeah, and then that's when he realized, oh, there's more.
Yeah. One gripe I have is that Punjabi food has positioned itself as Indian food,
Which is totally wrong.
which is totally wrong.
Yes,
Like what you eat at home and what I eat at home, both are different from each other, but they're also very different from Punjabi food.
Correct.
And I'm on this like local Issaquah Facebook
Mhm.
group, and this new Indian restaurant opened up there, and there's a bunch of people writing, "We don't need another Indian restaurant." I'm like,
You need
which
another
kind of
exactly.
Indian restaurant?
Yes.
Because in Issaquah specifically, Maharaja is not the same as Rajda, is not the same as Madras dosa
Yes.
corner, and they're very distinctive,
Yep.
different cuisines. But I think there is more like kind of awareness, at least. In Canada, people were very aware. They think all the Indians are Punjabis, but somehow there's more food,
Yes.
different types of food.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So regional difference is an interesting thing to talk about. In all of this, how much stress on a day-to-day basis does the visa bring?
A lot. Would not lie about it. It is always on top of our minds, especially because in the current political environment,
Yeah.
it creates that kind of a nervousness. It is as recent as a few weeks back, I was discussing it with my friends. Like, I have a bachelor's, I have a master's, and I've constantly proven myself
To be
in
a
the
good citizen.
good citizens
Yeah.
and also contributing citizens,
Yeah.
right? And you mentioned that I'm nominated for Marquis Who's Who, and it was not me who reached out to them. They themselves reached
Sure.
out, which shows that, yes, we have been doing something good.
Yeah.
Even after that, too, the line for me to get to a green card,
90 years or something like that.
I have stopped count.
Yeah.
I think that my name will probably get called when I would not even be here.
Yeah.
So that stress is always there, that tomorrow we may lose a job.
I have
and then
60 days to figure something out.
correct.
Yeah, and because the lease you're signing is for a year, or the
The house
mortgage
which
is
we
for
have 30 years.
right?
Exactly. Yes.
And your kids are in school for the year or whatever, right?
Yeah.
What was strange for us is we landed in Canada as permanent residents. So we never had that
Yeah.
stress. And then we became citizens. So when we came here, it was like, I didn't think Amazon was going to lay off people anytime soon.
Mhm.
And then one day they were going to announce layoffs. It was like January of 23.
23. Yes.
And my email won't refresh. And I started to panic. And then I went to our office in Bingo.
Yeah.
And then I tried my badge and it
Mhm.
was like, thank God it works.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a lot of stress to live under. Not that, I mean, now I have a different type of visa, which I basically sponsor myself. But it was a very delicate dance to do that.
Yes.
Because the minute I get the investor visa, my L1 work visa is
Will-
cancelled and I cannot be employed.
Yes.
So I had to resign first. And my visa interview was my last day at Amazon.
Yes.
And if I had not got the visa,
Yeah.
I would have been in trouble. So it's such a central part of every decision you make.
Yes.
And my listeners have probably heard this a couple of times, but there's countries like the UAE where getting in is very easy, but you never naturalize.
Yes.
And then there's countries like Canada where getting in is harder, but then you have a path.
Correct.
This is hard to get in and hard to get a
yes.
path. And
Yep.
and unfortunately, it's not a pragmatic system like you have in Canada, where you're young, you don't have dependents, you speak English, you have a master's degree, PR in 3 weeks.
Yes.
But you're retired and you're coming here just to hang out with your grandchildren, PR is going to take 2 years,
Yeah.
right? So I had a guest who was on an O1 visa, and he's a Harvard master's in public health and an MIT MBA.
Yeah.
And he is a CEO of a private equity owned company.
Yeah.
Early 30s, wife is equally accomplished.
Yep.
And he's like, I still have to keep proving myself at every step that I'm deserving of a visa.
Yes.
And that's kind of a shame for the US, because then you're missing out on a lot of talent. Nobody's saying let in illegal immigrants. Nobody's saying that give freebies to people who are not of a confirmed status, right? But it is a shame. Do you think this is going to let up anytime soon?
No, I don't think so. There are discussions about the changing policies all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
The other thing which sometimes I think about it is the path to naturalize in US is also a lot is tied to your original nationality.
Country
too.
of birth.
Yes. And less about your talent,
Yeah.
your abilities.
And being from India, the queue is very long.
Exactly.
But you know, my son's born in Canada, but he's probably going to be 22, 23 before he becomes a green card holder, because he's my dependent till he's 18.
Yes.
Then he might be on an F1 visa as a student.
Yes.
Then he has to go through the OPT, H1, L1,
Yes.
maybe TN process because he's Canadian.
Yes.
And my listeners know that all the Indians are experts on immigration right now. But yeah, so it's not much easier. It is easier in that sense, but not much easier. On that note, let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll talk about what you do right now and your time at Amazon and the Who's Who nomination that you got. So we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Diasporaa on KKNW, where we share interesting stories of first-generation immigrants from South Asia. We're talking to Krati Agrawal, supply chain and technology leader with an amazing track record. Before we jump back into the conversation, if you like listening to our show, please consider following us on Instagram. It's at Diaspora Podcast, or leaving us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts. So let's talk about the Who's Who program.
Yep.
I remember hearing about it in like the 2000s, and then I never heard about it for a long time, and now I'm again starting to hear about it. So what is the program, and what was that process like for you?
Yeah, I had never heard about it until somebody from Marquis Who's Who reached out to me
Yeah.
on LinkedIn saying that based on my LinkedIn profile and whatever they would have researched about me,
Yeah.
they think I am a good candidate. And if I do want to get selected, I need to fill in an application.
Sure. So there was like some consideration given. It's not like, hey, do you want it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And once I filled in the application, I had to go through an interview process.
Sure.
And then I think they validated what I'm saying is actually true or I'm
Right.
just making stuff up.
Right.
And after that, they confirmed that I am selected for this version or me.
Women leaders in technology
Yes.
part of it.
Correct. Yes. They do the publications every 6 months, I think.
Okay.
So in this time, they have selected
Yeah.
me. And when they reached out, that's when I actually researched. First, I thought this is a spam.
You have to be skeptical these
Yes.
days.
And then I started reading more about the Who's Who program. And in simple terms, the way I understood was like in today's world, we have Forbes who nominates like 30 under 30
Yeah.
and 40 under 40.
I'm shooting for 100,000 under 100,000.
So before Forbes and their top lists
Yeah.
became the thing, marquees used to be the public library to understand who's who actually in
Yeah.
different parts of the industries.
One of my grandpa's sisters, her husband is
Oh, wow.
in that from,
Yes.
I mean, they moved here like more than 50 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yes.
And he worked for a company that specialized in cosmetics for African Americans.
Oh, nice.
And he was in that for a very long time. And they live in Chicago. So
Yeah.
he's the only other person I know
No.
who's in it. So you're the second.
Oh.
That's really nice. I'm very happy for you that
Thank
you're
you.
part of that program. What was it like being a woman leader at Amazon? Did anything change or matter that you were a woman, or was it purely merit based? And it could be easier, or I'm
Mhm.
asking in either
yes.
way.
Yes. So I think in Amazon, with everybody being A-type personalities,
Yeah.
and also
Some were type A plus.
yes, and in where I started, right, Phoenix, at one point, in the on the entire shifts,
Yeah.
including whether you are in the outbound side of the operations or inbound or in HR, I was the only female leader on the
Oh, wow.
floor. So it did become sometimes difficult for you to find the allies.
Sure.
So from that aspects, it was challenging. But then slowly Amazon also realized, and I think with the world, that like every gender, race, they come with their own challenges.
Yeah.
And so Amazon started a community called Women in Amazon, and it started bringing different female leaders together. That helped a lot. And personally, for me, I think one of the major learnings and the challenges which I faced in Amazon was my inherent personality is not very aggressive,
Yeah.
soft spoken to a point where could be considered as timid. And I was actually given that feedback that, oh, we don't know whether you would be a bigger leader because you
Yeah.
don't have that presence. So I listened to it, understood, changed myself a little bit to a point where I'm not losing my inherent integrity.
Yeah.
But that same thing actually was then repeated for another male leader. And I was sitting in that room, and it was a discussion about whether that individual is ready to be nominated for a promotion. And I asked, why do you say he's not ready? And they said, or my leaders said, don't have the executive presence. And I asked them to elaborate on it. And that's when they said, very soft spoken, don't know if he can hold the room together. And that's when I asked them, is it because he's not the loudest person in the room? And they said, sometimes yes. And that hit personally to me. And then I asked my manager that, do you think I am a good leader? And he said, yes. And I asked him why. He said, you keep your head cool under pressure. You do not get emotional to a point where it becomes awkward to be around you. And I told him that is exactly the traits what you are defining. Like, people who are soft spoken are sometimes considered as not having the executive presence, but that does not mean that. So I think those kind of, what's the word for it?
Like hypocrisy?
Not hypocrisy, but these are the traits which they generalize.
Sure.
That, okay, if you are soft spoken, then you are going to be so and so kind of a person.
Yeah.
So
Well, you weren't
those-
timid when I met you, I can tell you that much.
yeah, but I learned that I have to be firm
Yeah.
But that does not mean I have to raise my voice.
So what I noticed is, and being in Canada for the first half
Mhm.
of my Amazon tenure, I knew all of you as
Yes.
leadership through Zoom calls, right?
Yes.
It was always on Chime calls. Ugh,
Chime
you just
calls.
made me
Yes.
remember Chime.
Yeah.
But when I met everybody in person, I was like, oh, they're completely different.
Yes.
So I do get the point that your inherent personality might be different, but you have to put on certain personalities at
Yes.
work to,
Be
project your.
authoritative kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it had two effects for me. One was in cases like someone like you, where I'm like, oh, they're nice in real life. But then there are some people I'm like, oh, this guy's an idiot in real life. Like he has no personality
Yeah.
beyond what their job is.
Yes.
And it human tendency to judge and form opinions,
Yes.
which I
Yes.
did. But I think that was my problem, that I don't have two sides to my personality. I'm the same person everywhere. My wife always tells me, why are you so corporate at home?
Yeah.
I'm like, because I don't have a home side to me. And I felt that when you talked about allies, it's a big political environment where you
Mhm.
need to navigate these things with a soft touch, which personally for me was very hard to do. On that note, since it's early episodes, I've been asking the guests who know me well, what were your first impressions of me, good and bad?
So I'll first tell your listeners, how did we even meet?
Yeah.
So out of the blue, I think I get a message from somebody named Adi Mehta
And
on Chime.
and I was reporting to one of your peers at the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
That was the context of the
Correct.
relationship.
Yes. And the individual are asking me, am I from the central part of India or from Rajasthan or something like that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this person asking me?
And who is this person?
Yes. And I'm like, yes. And then I asked him, and I asked you, like,
Yeah.
how did you recognize? And then he said, well, I have a hobby of guessing people where they are from based on their pronunciations and all. And I
Yeah.
found it very interesting. And like, this is going to be an interesting person because I've never had people with whom my first interaction has been this different. It's
Sure.
always been work related or something else, but this was a very unique introduction. And since then, I think I've always found different parts of your personality, which has always intrigued me. Like your journey overall has been also very, very interesting. And I was looking for somebody who would inspire me in terms of that it's fine. You can always keep changing your paths
Yeah.
and choose whatever you want. Because, like coming from India first time and stuck in that visa vicious circle, I was always very stressed. And
Yeah.
talking to you gave me that sort of comfort.
Well, that's good to
Yes.
hear that.
Sometimes I would be like, Adi, don't talk too much. You're talking too much on the call.
Yeah.
Right now, keep
Yes.
quiet.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
I had only been in family business and
Yeah.
then my own tech startup.
Yes.
So I was never part of the politics equation. I was never part of these nuances.
Yes.
And 100% lessons learned. I made those mistakes and I do think I'm a better person for it. But I also feel that it validated that I'm not cut out for corporate life. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I know people who are so good in Amazon, but if they try to do a business, they would fall flat.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things. But thank you for sharing those first impressions. I
Yes.
appreciate it. I once successfully guessed that someone was from Yemen,
Oh, wow.
and that person was blown out of his mind that I did that. And he's like, how did you do it? I said, look, you look kind of Indian, but your accent is not
Not
from any part of India. So you're probably Middle Eastern.
Yes.
Your name has the al word in the middle. So you're from the Gulf countries, most likely.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a Saudi or an Emirati or a Qatari or a Kuwaiti, you're not working at Amazon. Your country takes care of you.
Yeah.
So then what's left is Omani and Yemeni, practically. Maybe you could be Bahraini, but
Yeah.
there's not too many of them in the world
Yes.
anyways. And then Yemenis tend to be a little more serious than Omanis, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because it's a war situation. It's a less stable country.
Yeah.
So I went with Yemen.
Yeah.
And he was part of my L6 promo dog.
Oh, wow.
So that was a pretty interesting time at Amazon. I brought my sales friendliness to Amazon, and I think that really did help me.
Yeah. And your every Monday
Motivations?
jokes. Yes,
Yes.
jokes and the motivational
Yeah.
messages.
So
Yes.
for my guests, I used to do these motivational posters. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes until you reach as long as you reach your goal, and I would cross out parts of that and replace it with something that was our internal team humor, as long as your site launches on
Yes,
time,
yes.
stuff like that. And I think they were quite popular. And once I had forgotten to do it, and you had messaged
Yes.
me saying, "Where's your Monday motivation?" Yeah, I've always been an office clown in all the offices I've worked. Like I've been the guy with all the jokes all
Yeah.
the time, but I've had to learn to dial that back as well. Good stuff. So, any particular things you did at Amazon and that you're allowed to talk about, which you're particularly proud of in terms of deliverables or results?
Yeah, a few actually. Amazon, while it is a place which will sometimes question you, why am I
Yeah,
doing
what am I
this?
doing with my life?
Yeah, and especially when I was in fulfillment centers, I used to walk 15 to 16 miles easily a day.
Yeah,
But during the holiday season, the adrenaline rush which you would get just working constantly and with a purpose. A lot of times people don't realize that Amazonians do feel, especially in the operations, that they have a purpose during the holidays to be the quote unquote the Santa
Santa
Clauses.
Claus.
Yeah. So there was one time when the whole building lost power.
So it was a Sev 2 event.
Sev 1, Sev
Sev
0,
1.
whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. The whole building was down. There was not even lights turning on. But the point that we had to get the gifts out was so important for everybody that we started using our hotspot Wi-Fi to turn on our laptops because we could still see what the orders are dropping
Yeah.
because that's the network, like the Amazon
Yeah.
network, right? So we could still see that. And we actually made the list of where each location these gifts, like these units are stored, walked through it, found those units, and
Yeah.
started gift wrapping. And at least for that day, we did not miss one gift.
Oh,
So
no rolled volume.
no
as they
rolled
say.
volume. Yes, yes. And that just made me realize that how important
Yeah.
sometimes it is and how much value the Amazonians give. That was the true example which I saw
Yeah.
of customer obsession. Everybody says Amazon is customer obsessed.
No, they
but that's how-
definitely are.
Yes. And then similar examples I had. This was more of a competitive one where when I was in New Jersey, so there are many fulfillment centers which would be in like within a 50-mile radius. So we had two of those. One was in New Jersey and one was in Staten Island. New Jersey, an older facility with the older equipment. The Staten Island one is much more advanced. But both the sites decided that we will go for the 1 million unit craziness, which means that you have to process 1 million unit orders in 24 hours.
Wow.
And so both started at the same time.
And our biggest delivery stations did 120,000
Mhm.
packages a day. That's like 8 times.
8 times.
And you're not only passing them through the building, you're starting the delivery of that.
Okay.
Because they're stored there.
They're stored. Yes.
Yeah.
So you get the order. So you pick it, you pack it, and then you sort it and put it into the trailers of either it is Amazon Logistics or UPS or USPS. And you cannot afford to have even one like jam on your
Sure.
senses. And we all were very excited for it. It was my first time participating something. So it required planning. It required motivating the associates because they had been working already 3 days. For
Yeah.
some of them, it was the fourth day
Wow.
of working. But when we started, it was previous night's 3 a.m. and we had to finish it by the next day's 3 a.m. And we were able to reach that 1 million mark at 1 a.m. So 2 hours before, beating the other building with much bigger equipments, better equipments. And so the pride which was there within the associates
Yeah.
was something which also inspired me.
Yeah. For
They were
sure.
tired, but they still wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
So from the fulfillment centers is where the ground of the Amazon,
Yeah.
the pulse of the Amazon is. So
Yeah. Nice. Those
Yes.
are very interesting stories.
yes.
Let's move into our weekly segments now.
Yep.
So, DJ, spin that wheel. We have How's that? Most people from our part of the world have one or many cricket memories.
Yes.
What is your favorite cricket memory?
Two of those I'll give.
Sure.
Yes. The first one was, if you remember, there was an England and India NetWest series.
NatWest series.
Yes. Where
Are you going to
that
say Mohammad Kaif?
Mohammad Kaif catch. So
Yes.
that match was going on.
Yeah.
And the whole city, Guna, lost
Yeah.
power.
Oh,
Yeah. And it was
Worst
the last
happened.
10 overs which
A lot
were
of your
going on.
stories have lost power in
Yes, apparently.
Yeah.
So, and it was this last 10 overs.
Yeah.
And luckily, my dad and my uncles, they are in the electrical appliances and all of those business. So they got the inverter out. They
Yeah.
connected just the television and
Yeah.
one light.
Yeah.
And everybody, the whole neighborhood was sitting in that small
Yeah.
room to watch the last 10 overs. And my dad called one of our family friends who lived probably 10 miles away, and they said, oh yeah, we got the TV connected. And he just, I don't know how fast he rode his
Bike, yeah.
bike, and did not even stop to allow us to open the door. He just kept
Yeah.
driving in. And
Yeah.
just like seeing everybody around there excited was one of the
Yeah.
memories. And the other one was seeing Sachin Tendulkar playing in action.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was one of the IPL matches.
Yeah. You saw it live?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, it was RCB versus Mumbai Indians.
Yeah.
During when I was in Bangalore.
I met Sachin on a train once.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
But maybe that's a story for another day because we're out of time today. So thanks for sharing those interesting cricket stories. That brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for listening to Diaspora. We hope you enjoyed hearing Krati's interesting stories. Remember to check out our show notes for links and more information about the topics we talked about today. Diaspora is part of the Staying Power network of shows and podcasts, all of which are dedicated to inspiring listeners to build lives of meaning, connection, and value. You can find the Staying Power network of shows, including Diaspora, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. We will be back next week with another interesting story from the South Asian diaspora. And until then, take care and stay curious. And Krati, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Adi.